technology a boon or a ban for mental health in 21st century? Do you face behavioral issues and blame technology for it? Have you heard about addictive gaming, scrolling through social media mindlessly? Well, let's dig deeper. Hello, I'm Richa, interning under Dr. Shiva Singh at her mental health studio called TalkSpace. While observing October as the Mental Health Month, we are trying to raise awareness around mental health with the theme making mental health and well being a global priority for all. Today, we will be talking about technology in particular with a renowned psychiatrist, Dr. Jyoti Sangle. Dr. Sangle is a consulting psychiatrist practicing for approximately 25 years in Mumbai and Hyderabad. She currently serves as the head of Department of Psychiatry at Holy Spirit Hospital, Andheri, and is visiting psychiatrist at the Dr. L.H. Hiranandani Hospital, Powai. Many of you would know her as she has been regular contributor to newspapers and magazines on various aspects of mental health. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor. We are privileged to have you here with us.
Thank you, Richa.
I have a few questions lined up for you. So, since we're going to be talking about children and technology, so let's start with that. First thing is that it has been 2 decades of internet era, and so as we call digitization. So, how has this impacted people's mental health?
So there have been pluses and minuses. So I would say technology would be an interesting devil, which has helped us spread a lot of mental health awareness. And today, if we are recording this, it is also thanks to technology and the ability to reach a much larger section in the society with mental health awareness and also awareness about all aspects of health. So that's been the biggest boon technology has given us. Also, it has helped us have access to many more academic and theoretical resources. Also, helped us have access to medical personnel all over the world, to have multiple opinions, or to not be restricted by living in a small town with respect to accessibility to medical services, because technology is the one which has helped us develop the subspecialty of telemedicine and telepsychiatry. Today, our outreach to people is much more because of technology. Also, technology has helped us develop various apps, platforms, which has startups, which have helped even the youngsters access mental health facilities at reasonable rates. So, technology has definitely helped us in making inroads into the society of all kinds. Yes, there is a flip side to it, because one, especially in our field of psychiatry, you can always say that maybe that humane touch which a person feels when a person meets a doctor face to face is a bit compromised in telepsychiatry, or telemedicine. And of course, there are most of the specialities can't really function fully digitally. So, having said that, telepsychiatry or telemedicine has been a boon, especially in the COVID times, where it was impossible to otherwise access health systems or healthcare facilities. And yes, the disadvantage with technology has been the rampant spread of the use of social media, which is coming to a level of digital toxicity, intoxication, and addiction. It's also kind of brought in concepts like cyberbullying. It's gotten concepts like or phenomenon in which the humans have been replaced by gadgets.
Mhm.
So it has its flip side. It has affected humanity both ways.
Right.
It's our takeaway from which matters.
Right.
So that's how I would look at it.
And you've mentioned so many important points of, starting with social media, toxicity, and overusage, and cyberbullying. So we'll go ahead and talk about all of these in detail. I want to pick up one major thing right now is that how it has increased in the very recent times because of COVID. So everyone during COVID, everyone was constantly resorting to technology. So do you have clients coming in that have been impacted negatively due to excessive usage of technology?
I think more who have been negatively impacted than who took away the positives from technology. So there are many kids who have fallen into the trap of the gadgets replacing their parents, the gadgets replacing conversation, social media becoming their means of friendship as compared to one-to-one friendships. Having relationships with people who are unknown in many ways, and the ones who are not able to make the correct judgment, even falling into relationships which have been otherwise uh, grossly, obviously unhealthy.
Right.
But the digital space has prevented them from seeing that, or the digital loneliness has tempted them into that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it has produced physical health implications in the form of eye strain, in the form of being kind of obesity.
Mm-hmm.
It's caused all the lifestyle diseases which otherwise we would expect in middle age or in older age. But we're seeing many of those lifestyle diseases in children now.
Right.
It has also led them to kind of have a big or uncensored access to games and which they play online with their friends,
Right.
which unfortunately, to be able to draw a line where it is healthy and where it's crossing that line, where it's eating away into my energy, into my mental health space, into my time, into my academic time, into my socialization time, uh, is difficult for these kids to make. It also gives them access to substances big time, which previously could be restricted because it was in person. This is not saying that the kids are not sensible enough to make their decisions, but at the same time, there are the digital zone or the virtual zone is also hampering their experiences in which can help their judgment grow.
Absolutely. And I think mentioning so much about children because it has impacted them the most, in especially talking about in the negative way, um, be it in terms of physicality or their eyes, or even in the terms of mental health space that we talked about, the impact has been huge, right? So since you mentioned so much about cyberbullying and how children are on the computers or phones all the time, do you think there's a way that parents could limit children's technology usage?
See, I think the biggest thing that takes the children towards overuse of technology is they feel more connected to their peers and to themselves in that space.
Right.
And that is where we as parents have failed. That today, if they feel more connected to their peers in that space. We have not been able to give them the in-person interaction benefits, or they are unable to kind of realize that I am spending my dinner time in front of the laptop instead of sitting with the family. So as parents or as family, we have not been able to attract them enough to spend that time with us, rather than saying that, okay, the child is digitally addicted. Why does the child feel more comfortable in that space?
Right.
Now, having said that, having done that, I very firmly believe that the firm rules need to be laid down much earlier in childhood. COVID has not made things simple, for sure. That was definitely an aberrant for 2 years, which has kind of maybe influenced all the theoretical concepts of parenting that we had. But yes, having said that, if we are able to make the other world more attractive for them, more soothing for them, they are still impressionable. They are ready to mold themselves. They only want us to be seen more as not as authority but as parents. And if we definitely want to sway them or swing them from where they stand today, a harsh authoritarian approach will not work.
Right.
There have to be firm rules. There have to be boundaries, but the method of drawing the boundaries has to be a process and not a diktat.
Correct.
They already know what they're doing is not the healthiest of practices. Most of the kids know that.
Right.
But they feel that there is no other space. You are not available. You're too busy. So enter his system and then get him out of the system.
Right.
That's another approach to the thing. So at least the digital space is a bit, their comfort space is invaded by parents. But yes, that's the way you make inroads into their mind.
Right. And I think that's a beautiful idea that you've given to parents of how, approach the situation, because most of them just go like, "Aajkal ke bacche to aise hote hain." So I think just not leaving it there and actually doing something about it will make a lot of change here.
Yeah.
Right. So previously you also mentioned social media, right? So my question is related to that now. I want to understand that do you feel social media plays a very huge role in setting unrealistic standards for people, leading to negative aspects?
Yes, glorifying ideal relationships, beautifying body image. How cool are you if you are able to do an Insta post versus an Insta reel?
Right.
How many social media platforms is your presence on? But yes, every day is a new standard set.
Correct.
And I am sure, as we used to say, that your expectations for yourself have to be set by yourself. But now social media defines the standards.
Right.
Which is where I think it becomes unrealistic, because there cannot be one common benchmark for people from all strata, all genders, all age groups, all cities, all suburbs.
Right.
Everyone has their own aspects. So how can the expectations be the same? So that's how I feel it becomes a little unrealistic.
Right.
Also, the shows, the games,
Oh,
yeah. They are very, very, they are meant to be unreal. They are meant to give you an adrenaline rush. They are meant to engage you, but they also are giving you ideas or dreams or expectations which are glossy or giving you a very, very negative view of the world.
Right.
So it's a good space to be very informed about.
Right. I think it's just putting people in the bubble, and the layers of the bubble are increasing like crazy, because
Correct.
It's
absolutely
the what they are making us perceive is just not real. It's as simple as that. So I think when you're not mature enough, or even people who are mature or old enough, still fall into this
correct.
trap.
It's supposed to be that engaging.
Right.
You're supposed to create content which kind of is able to let you drop that boundary. So they've been very successful. Whoever are the content creators have been extremely successful if they have made you drop that boundary. So kudos to them. Right. But that's where it is, that then everything spirals in a very different direction, especially for kids.
Right. All right. So talking about this more, we've actually seen Facebook and its logo and all that. So it shows that it connects people throughout the world. So social media or these platforms have been a major way that people are connected to each other in the world. But there are so many studies which show that a very specific statistical number, that 73% of people still feel lonely, especially when they spend so much time on social media, which is supposed to link you to all the people in the world. So what do you think about this?
Point about social media is exactly that as you said, the bubble which is created gives you the impression that you are a part of a group or you're part of a cult. The number of cults which have come up thanks to the technology and the social media are mind-boggling. And the cult following is becomes so blind that it becomes so difficult to penetrate that barrier. So it's been a very difficult journey, and it also isolates you from everything else. Feel that group to which I belong, whether it's a WhatsApp group, whether it's a Insta group, whether it's a close friend group in Insta, or it's a community on Twitter, or it's a cult somewhere, you start believing this is my alternate family. Right. The partial reason is also that the inherent family relationships today are already strained.
Right.
Because of the fast pace of life and because of everyone being busy. So already the family as a cohesive unit is becoming rarer by the day. It's taking a lot to retain the family as a cohesive unit. And internally, genuinely as a cohesive unit. On the surface, everyone is all fine. The picture perfect family on the picture frames are all fine. So they kind of believe that this group to which they belong is their secondary or foster family. And they land up, because initially they get a lot of acceptance from there, they kind of get into that and they isolate themselves from the rest because they feel this is my foster or alternative family.
Right.
And then when this group, finally it is on social media. So their availability is at everyone's convenience. So it's come to a level that you have groups of video games, you have groups of mobile apps, you have, so it's like it's a disarray of I would say it's an array of groups and a disarray of emotions. Absolutely. Because you want to feel belong, and so you're getting membership into various things, and most of the memberships initially are free. So you'll end up getting into a lot of so-called secondary families, so-called secondary cohesive groups, but their availability is obviously at their convenience. And second, they personally don't know. So I can pose as Richa in one of the groups. How do you know I'm not Richa and I'm Jyoti? Yes. So obviously, finally, when I'm reaching out to someone, I am not going to get a response which I expect from a human being. So then obviously I go more into a shell. So initially already I have created this foster families. Then I'm going into a shell because I can't find my connection there on all levels. So you are finding very good friends also, but it is also true that you're isolating yourself more and more and more, because now you're looking for all validation, you're looking for all emotional needs in that gadget. So it's cutting them off from interacting with people on a one-to-one basis. And there are many who are not able to handle those one-to-one conversations now, interactions one. Because over the 3 or 4 years, they've got so used to chatting. When you put them in front of a person, they have social anxiety. They can't handle it. They can't handle the genuineness of the situation. So they isolate themselves. I can't do this human interaction. I'm better off on a screen interaction.
Right. There's a very fine line between being an introvert or having this cutoff. But because of this little knowledge available, which people think is too much knowledge, they call themselves introvert and do not work on this aspect. So I think you've unwrapped it so beautifully. This concept, I think this was so amazing. This idea to talk about technology has eventually led to sedentary lifestyle diseases and issues associated with the same. So how do we deal with that?
It would basically, one constructive way is to use technology to bunk sedentary lifestyle. So we can use technology to introduce a daily care regime, which is has a little bit of physical activity. Fortunately, reducing a little bit because people are realizing that they're developing health issues. So medically in the OPD, we are definitely seeing people realizing that it's leading them to a zone which is not really healthy. So yes, the awareness is increasing, and yes, as we discussed earlier, the technology is also helping us do exactly what it's opposite of what it's been responsible for. But having said that, the biggest thing I think that we need to do is create awareness of the relationship between the possibility of becoming a couch potato or have become a sedentary person by virtue of overuse of technology, not because the technology is bad, but because it does make you sit at one place and it's engaging enough for you to not get up. So it's the correlation. If we can make people more and more aware about it by using technology itself and otherwise too, I think we should be able to get there. That part has definitely started already. Having said, the kids are also very health conscious nowadays. So if they see a friend going to the gym, even if one of them has been motivated enough, there are many more who want to go to the gym for the sake of being with friends. Fair enough. Please go. For the sake of being friends, even if instead of no exercise, you are doing 10 minutes of exercise and 50 minutes of time plus, please start. At least make a beginning. So also, fortunately, the thing of marathons and the long runs and the people talking more and more about ecotherapy and green therapy and nature therapy has also helped people go on at least adventurous things like treks and hikes, which is also helping them indirectly towards their physical fitness, because they realize they cannot be a part of these groups if they're not physically fit. So yes, there has been some movement, both from the mental health space of people and their own realizations. It's only that we have to kind of make sure that this movement continues, so that gradually we are able to break it. It's going to be a process, and it's not going to happen soon.
So one thing that you mentioned was that we can only come out if we are aware of it. So how do we know that we are addicted to technology, and what could be the cause of this vicious cycle? I think you've covered the cause part, but also how do we know that we are addicted to this, and how do we come out of it?
So anything is called an addiction when it is going to, one, the use is going to be more than the accepted social norms. So there are many who start pointing out that, okay, the time that you spend there is a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to start interfering in your day-to-day activities. The moment it's going to interfere in your daily routine, if it's going to affect your sleep routine, if it's going to affect your academic routine, if it's going to kind of get you to miss out on stuff which you would otherwise do,
Mm-hmm.
you're crossing the line somewhere.
Right.
If it's the only thing that you can think of, you are thinking of it even during your working hours, then you're crossing the line somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And basically there is, so when you're talking about breaking a habit, we are talking about a cycle of change. So where you realize that there is a habit that you need to change, or there's a behavior that you need to change. So first you kind of reach a phase where you are in a denial phase. Then you reach the pre-contemplation phase where you say that, okay, I think there may be an issue. Let me think about it. Maybe I'll do something about it and all that.
Right.
Then you reach a contemplation phase where you say, okay, now, yes, I think I am also needing to do something about it. Let's kind of think about it. Then you reach the decision phase that, okay, I am going to do it. So now you have at least entered the cycle of change.
Mm-hmm.
Then you take some action, you do a little bit, you do a little bit, you do a little bit, and then you kind of get on to your course of doing things to change a particular behavior, and you start seeing results.
Right.
You start seeing results, the results encourage you, it's a reinforcing factor, it's a positive reinforcement, you do more of it, more of it, more of it. And suddenly you slip. So now when you slip, it's the slip acceptance which makes the difference. If you slip and you call yourself a failure, then you go back into the same cycle again, and then you don't want to do it. Whereas if you say that, okay, I slipped, but I have learned so much. So the next time my slip is going to be later. So let me still try. That's the only way to break the addiction cycle. That's the only way that you are going to accept change, but you want to enter the cycle of change, but you have to accept that there are going to be failures.
I think this is so apt, and if we all just, it seems to be very simple information here, but this is core, this is diamond, is what I want to say. This, if you just pick this up and put it in any sector of your life, it's going to work out.
It's either obesity, it's drug addiction. You look at anything, any habit, it's going to break only if you are ready to enter the cycle of change.
Absolutely. Right. That was great, ma'am. Thank you so much. Getting to the demographics a little bit, if you could help me with the gender difference in the technology usage and mostly its effect. Who is more affected, would you say?
I don't think there's a gender difference. Very honestly, practically, I don't think there's a gender difference.
Right.
I don't want to sound like it's not trying. I'm trying to run away from the question, but I seriously, from the kids that I see, I seriously don't think there is a. So research-wise, there may be a gender difference, but clinically, practically, I see no gender difference.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be someone that I want to protect a particular gender, or I don't want to sound like someone who's like being biased. But I seriously, clinically, the genders being equally aware of how to use. In fact, there are the kids surprise me, but I would expect I would expect females to not know something and males to not know something by my traditional outlook. Right. And they take me by surprise. So I seriously don't think in today's world, practically, I see a gender difference.
Right.
I feel they are just, very honestly, positively, they are just too good.
Right.
And I don't see any difference in the level of awareness, the level of capability of using either media, and of course, in an urban setting, the opportunities that they can get. But yes, if we move away from an urban setting, definitely at least in an Indian setting, the access to a gadget or to social media itself will be restricted amongst females.
Right.
If you're looking at India and looking at a non-urban setting, now that is obviously going to cause a gender bias.
Right.
But if you give them accessibility and the knowledge, maybe it'll not, even that gender bias will go.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think that clears that up. Practically, you've explained us that. Now, ma'am, you mentioned cyberbullying earlier, and you've explained how it affects our mental health. What I want to know now is that does having a good anti-bullying educational program in schools or education settings will have a very strong effect?
We do need is an understatement. It has to be compulsory across all schools.
Correct.
What we need is the sensitivity in the school mental health services to really go up, and the need of confidentiality to be extremely, extremely high.
Absolutely.
Now that is where, at least in today's date, we seem to be missing the bus.
Right.
The kids want a therapist with whom they feel comfortable with, who will not share all of their stuff with the parents. Now that sensitivity and that bridge that needs to be gapped between the which needs to be capped between the student and the counselor and the parents. It's the counselor who will be the bridge, but the sensitivity to being that bridge is what I as a senior feel is somewhere missing. And that is something I would definitely want to work upon with people, and would want people to take note of that. Being a school counselor is easy, but being a sensitive and a desirable and an approachable school counselor is more important. Holding that post is not important. Right. It looks very good on. So this is my thing to all mental health youngsters who are kind of coming on and now would be a part of this system. So holding a position is very easy. It doesn't take too much to get a position. It takes work, it takes dedication, it takes qualifications. But after getting the position, to be approachable on that position and all kids wanting to come back to you is where your win is.
Absolutely.
So that's where I think our school systems need a little bit of work.
Right. So here is where the training comes in, when we as mental health professionals, or when we are in the training part of our career, there is a different way that you're trained to keep confidentiality for children and make them comfortable. So get trained, everybody, because that's where you will only be able to, like ma'am mentioned, that be approachable and actually do the job. There was this amazing program, which was Technology Shabbat, introduced in 2010. So can you explain more about it and its importance?
So it's actually a Jewish concept, from what I understand, in which they kind of try to fast and go away from all temptations. So Technology Shabbat was a term coined where you go away from technology, from all screens at one time for a fixed hour of minimum at least 24 hours. So all screens would be off, whatever happens. So it's a religious concept in the Jewish religion, but it was extended to technology and it took off very well. So there are many families and many cults which picked it up. Right. Unfortunately, that didn't grow as a cult movement. But that didn't really grow because it is very difficult to keep. Also, it is practically very difficult to keep off all screens in today's date for hours.
Right.
But yes, a mini technology Shabbat is something which will definitely go a long way. So we don't have to do 24 hours. Even if we have to tell ourselves to do half a day, do it for 6 hours. It's a big Big baby step.
Right, ma'am.
So even if we can do that much, so the concept, if you bring in, it actually detox. It's a beginning of detox. It's a beginning of being able to think of other things other than that screen, being able to speak to people around, to being able to do chores which you would have otherwise missed just because you're on the screen, to clean your desk, to well, simple things. So go out, have a walk, go to a grocery store and kind of do simple chores. Go out to eat junk, but go out, don't order it in.
Right.
Go out, eat the same pizza, but go out and eat. Don't order it in. Don't sit in front of the screen and eat. Go to a pizza joint and eat it. I'm not even saying go and have a healthy meal. Go have the same thing in a good setting. Go enjoy nature, enjoy the ambience, connect with people if you can. So it kind of gets you automatically thinking about stuff of how do I occupy myself for 6 hours?
Right.
And then you're forced to think of options. Right. And then you want people to think of options, because then you want company. So you'll tell someone else also, why don't you also try it with me? Let's spend the 6 hours together. Right. Fine. Connect with people and get off the screen. Which will make, even if you do it for 6 hours, 2 hours, make a beginning somewhere. Absolutely. Because practically, I don't think a concept of 24 hours of off the screen is practically possible. It's very difficult. I'm not saying it's not possible. There are many professions and many people who can do it. But there are many professions in which it can't happen. And that's not an excuse, but it seriously can't happen. Right. So as a doctor, I can't be off my screen for 24 hours, even if I want to be a part of this great movement. Right. So fine. Let me do it in a different way. Let me do it for 2 hours.
Yes.
Let me at least make a beginning there. So something of the kind. So that's basically the concept is that it's getting off all screens at one go.
You're right.
So that includes your TV, includes your laptop, includes your mobile, includes everything. It's not that you will switch off your mobile and sit in front of a TV. That doesn't work.
Right. At least following it with the basic times of, not using it before bedtime or
correct,
right after you wake up. So I think this was something that was picked up from the moment, which was great. And like you also mentioned, doing it in parts or what is suitable for you will actually be a smart decision. So that's that. Okay. So, moving towards the conclusion, I just want to know, what are your recommendations to people from all age groups to taking care of their mental health in context to exposure to technology and media and all of that?
Appreciate technology for the mental health awareness that we are trying to use it for. Also, the taboo of mental health, which technology is helping us fight. The resources available because of technology on mental health. Come out of your shells and seek help. Because of technology, now you can seek help within the confines of your room. Even if you're worried initially of what people coming to know about it, now that will not happen. It is now available at an hour convenient to you, in a setting convenient to you. You can kind of customize your mental health needs and help that you want. So, though we have spoken about the flip side of technology in detail, please focus on the positives that technology can bring to you, and try to use the same time that you're negatively spending on technology and on gadgets or in the virtual space to make yourself more aware of what your needs can be, your mental health needs can be. Get your friends aware of it. Get your friends connected to mental health professionals. If you have to be a part of groups, be a part of groups which are support groups for depression, what you have gone through, support groups for borderline personality, which you have gone through. Help others. Use technology for that. Help your friends understand what you have understood. You as youngsters can actually become mental health soldiers, mental health warriors, and really spread this word around. Absolutely. You can actually turn the world around. You can literally be a part of mental health reform movement, which is kind of defined as any other reform movement in your textbooks. But technology can really help you do that, rather than getting entangled in stuff which is not completely healthy for you.
Right.
I don't say don't play a game. I'm saying don't play a game to a level that it becomes toxic.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, that do your research. Little information can always be harmful.
Yes.
So whatever
we are not asking you to depend on a Google Chacha or a WhatsApp University. We are telling you that please use Google Chacha to know that such a thing can exist.
Yes.
Use Google Chacha to figure out which doc can I discuss this with.
Absolutely.
I have so many now who have started coming up and saying, Doc, I just want to explore whether I need help.
Okay.
I need a professional to tell me whether I need help or I can do without help.
Right.
And if I need help, what other kinds of help I can get.
Right.
So use it that way. Use technology to your advantage.
Absolutely. I think this was some great advice and interaction that we had. Thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am, for all your time, and everything that you've shared with us today was great. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Richa. It was nice speaking to you.